The other thing I want to show you is the PEX thing. So we have the PEX pipe, we have the copper ring, which gets placed. So there's just a little bit of visible plastic over the edge of it, and then we've got our fitting, and that gets bumped all the way in. This is the perfect situation where there's no beams in the way. I'm not laying on my back. I'm not twisted over a water sewer pipe trying to do it like that. So it's great. I'm right out here like this. Open it up all the way. You can either slip it over from the end like that, or you can slip it over the pipe. But like I said before, we want to get it right on the middle. And as square as I can get it. So everybody sees that? We have a little, it's not sticking out here. It's right up to the edge here. This is in there good. And, I'm just going to go bang. And that's it. It's not going to leak. We're on there. It went on. Yeah, this one moved a little bit, but it's still perfectly acceptable. I would have put a little more, at least that much red. This one's a little close to here, but it's fine. I check my professionals' work, and it's not. A lot of them are not perfect. It's not leaking.
Wow, that's pretty neat stuff.
Yeah, I'd like you guys to do that, and then we'll do some soldering too if you want. What's that?
To get it off, like say.
Yeah, you have it. There is a $35 tool that actually does that ring cutting. I just take a hacksaw, or a Dremel tool, a little Dremel, and just really carefully, without getting into the plastic, you just make a slit, and turn it around and make another slit on opposite, and it'll just fall off. And then you can pull the fitting out and redo the whole thing. The rings are cheap. The pipe is cheap, so it's not a big deal. Does anybody want to try the PEX now? Themselves? Okay.
So if you were going to do copper to PEX,
okay.
For some reason you wanted PEX,
yes.
So you would.
Yeah, I'll show you that. There's a cap that fits over that, and the other end looks just like that. They make a cap that does it, so it slips over the pipe. They also make one with a collar or a shoulder, and then it fits in the pipe. And either one, I like the cappy ones better because you can work with it easier. It's all on the outside.
So you don't have to solder.
Well, you do have to solder. You have to put this. You have to put this on there and treat it just like. You have to clean that and clean that, and just what we did here, and flux this and flux this, and put the cap on there, and then heat the cap and put the solder in just like I did there. And you can imagine that the pipe is going into there, but it isn't.
Yes.
And that's what it looks like. It doesn't have a thread on the outside. It has a nice smooth barrel on the outside, but it's the same size as that. The same, outside. It looks like that. That's the copper to PEX fitting, which is one of the most common connections you're going to make, because a lot of houses have copper, and you want to go to PEX. So you have that one, and then you have the polybutylene is a little bit bigger. Polybutylene isn't as positive a seal, so it has 5 rings. The PEX only has 3 rings, because it doesn't need any more than 3. The poly definitely needs the 5 because it's not as positive. So on the poly end, which I don't have a sample of, but we can make believe that's the poly, and put it in here, and then the PEX goes here, and then that's same deal. The same type of clamp is used for both the poly and the. It's only the inside diameter that's different. The outside diameter is the same, very, 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 very close. So the clamp, the copper clamp that we use for the PEX will also work for the poly. So that's your transition between the poly and the PEX, is that special fitting. And you have to ask for that. Make sure it's a PB to PEX fitting. And they'll explain to you probably that the 5 side goes to the poly, the PB, and the 3 side goes to the PEX.
And then if you were going to do a PEX to a brass.
To a brass fitting, then you'd have that piece.
Okay.
The brass would be the threaded brass like we have for that. Okay, so we have a brass thing. We put a what they call a coupler on there. That's that part. Okay. This is called a nipple. It can be a close nipple like this, or it can be a 4-inch nipple or a 6-inch nipple, or when they get up to 12, they stop calling it a nipple. Then it's a pipe. So we have a close nipple, and we have a 3/4 inch coupling here, and then we have our threaded transition or adapter to the thread, which we'll use tape on, and then we put the tape on. Then we just do our PEX with the clamp. The brass is only is really mainly for industrial and solar stuff where we don't want any rust to happen. But it doesn't hurt to buy the brass. I mean, it's a little more expensive, but it doesn't hurt to buy the brass, even if you're working with this stuff, because it's gonna outlast anything. You know, it's just really good. I don't know if there's any other transitions I didn't really talk about. I think I dealt with.
Covered them.
Yeah, I covered all that. Let's try some experiment with this, and we'll do a soldering, and then we'll call it a day, I guess. So, who's first with the PEX? You want to do it first? Okay. We'll just cut them and continue to use. I'm gonna let you do it. Just pick the piece.
They're all the same size, right?
Yeah, they're all the same size, 3/4 inch. And there'll be a little variance. I mean, sometimes there'll be a burr or something. You might have to sand it down.
So it doesn't
Just shove it
matter
in.
where it is until you're ready to put it on.
No, you can slip the collar way up here. It doesn't really matter. So you want to do that, and there's your tool. Oops.
I should have done it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you do it.
The other
Yeah.
way first.
Okay.
You learn by mistakes, right?
Well, you can do it that way. You can slip it on there, but then you're gonna have trouble holding it. You know, I mean, you can try it that way. It doesn't matter. I mean, I can hold this for you. In plumbing, you're gonna have a helper for the most part. I work a lot with myself, you know, on stuff, but it is a pain. And it does, you know, you'll throw it off. It just has to be square and make sure the red edge is showing. There's a little bit, 1/8 of an inch at the most. And of course, if it's important that T faces in a certain direction, make sure that's happening too before you squish it.
What's used more today in homes, copper or this?
In new construction, they still use a lot of copper. In a lower cost house, they'll use PEX.
Okay.
When they fix a house, they will often transition to PEX because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that it's square on it.
Yeah,
and
on it.
that
So it has to be square not only that way, but that way too.
Yeah.
Bilaterally square. And then you can mush it. It's not easy, is it?
I'll do it like my gardening tool.
Yeah.
How do you tell if
It'll snap
Does it
together.
click?
It'll click, yeah. Come out as far on those handles as you can.
Would you like that for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
So, probably.
Yeah,
Sure
that'll
we
work.
got it square, but
That'll work, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There it goes, because those two have to hit.
Wow.
Now there is a tool. I didn't mention this because it usually lasts quite a while, but there is a tool that you fit when you first slip your copper ring on, you fit these on there. So if it's tight, if it's too sloppy, you know it's not going to work that well, and you have to tighten up on that thing.
Yeah.
That doesn't need to be adjusted very often at all. But the instructions it comes with the tool, and the instructions are there. I've never used it because I haven't had to.
so this doesn't look like it's completely even, but
That's fine. That's absolutely fine because
No
it's
more than 1/8 of an inch over?
yeah, about that much. And mine is even. It's better than mine actually because mine is cocked a little bit. Yours is. That's how much I would want to show on the. And you can have a little bit more than that, but I like to keep it closer to the body of the fitting, the shoulder of the fitting, than out towards the end where it might not grab that last ridge.
thank you.
Okay, next. Anybody else? You want to do it? See, I'm gonna get you a piece of. See if the pipe or the ring will fit over that thing.
It's nice and snug.
That's
so
good.
It won't be so hard.
It'll be better for you. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Stick that in.
These are brass or copper?
Brass.
Brass, yeah.
And a copper will solder to brass.
These rings are copper?
Yes. And just in soldering, the copper and the brass will communicate with each other and solder. Yeah.
With that, wow.
Well, I mean, when you solder, it'll be all right. I'm going to hold this for you. So you want to get that ring as much to the center of that tool as you can and keep that tool square. So you can actually go, yeah. Yeah, getting the center is actually the hardest part.
It really is okay.
So you can take your finger, I'm not going to touch it because you might pinch me, but you can go a little closer and still make the adjustment. You look pretty good there. Sort of ease onto it. There you go. That's it. And just really lay into it. You got it. Okay. Yeah, sometimes because your muscles, this way, you're asking these muscles to work, which aren't as strong. This way, you're pulling your biceps in, which is stronger. So, and then this.
Too much?
No, that's fine. That's, you know, I said an eighth. I mean, that's really closer to an eighth than the other one. And by the way, these will come in longer lengths, but that makes it harder to get into tight spaces. So, like a small muscular guy would be. This is great for that. You know, if you got, well, even a big muscular guy is great too, but he's not going to fit in there as good.
Does it do a ratchet? Is there like a ratchet?
There is a ratchet tool. It's more expensive. They do have a whole kit, like the ratchet and the extensions and you know, the cutting tool and all that stuff. But you know, when you get into those, that kit is like $300 or $400. But you know, if you're plumbing a house, I mean, you're building a new house, it's worth it. You know, do the whole thing. You know, just do it. If anybody else wants to try it, we're open for that. Yes, you got the idea? Okay. Solder we're going to do now. So who's the first solderer? You're going to probably want to wear my gloves at some point, but right now, just here's that one. There's the this one. Yeah, let me make sure that it's clean. Okay. Use the tool. Hang on a second. Use this thing, and just get in there, like I said, like this.
Oh, get
And
the
do
burr
the
out
burr out,
first.
yeah. I don't know if there's a burr in there, but we're just practicing. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then take the filey end of that, and like this.
Oh, on the outside. Oh.
Yeah, well, you do it
Not
flat.
the burr up. Oh,
Like
flat
that, yeah.
across.
Just to make sure there's nothing. Make sure it's clean, mainly. That's it. Okay. Now the really important part is to get the inside of this with that, and then the outside of that with that. No, you have to use the. That goes on this one.
Just the way.
And push it all the way, butt it right up into that thing, and really twist it on.
So you can always use that. Also use that.
Yeah, you can use that too.
if you don't have
It'll do.
this.
Yeah, and you get really adept with it after you've done it a little while.
This is.
That's sort of
nice.
awkward, but it's good and clean.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
All right, now we'll take our flux and our brush and just paint the inside of the one thing and the outside of the other thing. Here it is.
The flux must be used, right?
Yes, absolutely. Do not. You don't have to use that much flux. You know, that's okay. I mean, it'll go. But yeah, you have to have the flux or just the solder won't stick. It won't flow, actually. I mean, it'll look like it's flowing, but it's not going to seal. It's not going to do it right. And it'll pop a lot. You know, it'll go pop, 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 you know, spit.
Really?
Yeah, you don't want that. And get the end too. Okay, that's fine. Because as soon as it gets hot, it's gonna start flowing. Now you have to get the inside of that one too that you cleaned. Whichever one it was you cleaned, you can tell by looking at it.
They both look kind of stuffed up.
Well, maybe I cleaned one before and put it back in the box. I don't know. I mean, we're not going to really use this pipe for
Right,
anything
so,
anyway. But the idea is, it's good to get you know why you're doing it. Okay. And now you just mash it on there. Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good and tight. Okay. Now put these glasses on, and put your gloves on. Yeah. Now we're going to take this stuff away, and this out of here, and this here, and this out of the way, and this. And so I'm going to pull, because you have your gloves on, I'll do it for you. Pull this out, and then I'm just going to bend that like this.
Use about that much.
Yeah, I mean, you'll use whatever you need to use to fill the thing. I went around under it, that's why I made the drip. It'll probably, it should just suck itself around and go in anyway.
As long as you're touching it.
You have to touch with the very end of it, you know, just the tip of it.
Like that.
But you can start at the top and then work your way down. You actually do more like, I'll show you, do more like instead of that, just use your hand, and you can
just touch it,
just
right.
sort of go like that.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can do the other side and just back off. I use the flame here, and I use the better hand for the solder, so maybe that's better for you. But either way. So the part of the flame you want is going to be right in there. About, you can sort of see that dark blue part. You're gonna aim that for that. So, and remember the flame. Remember these people over here, and also the tables over here. So, yeah, pull it back a little bit. Yeah, that's about right. Just, you know, up and down.
Is the bottom getting hot enough?
Yeah, don't worry about that. It'll get it because this is a small pipe.
When it turns green.
Okay. Yeah, you're probably not ready quite yet. Okay, try it now. Pull the flame away.
Oh.
Now try it. Not hot enough. Come this way just a little bit more, so you're more on the fitting and less on the pipe.
Oh.
That's part of the problem.
Oh.
Because you can see that you're just coloring the pipe.
Right.
Yeah, come this way more onto. Yeah, there you go.
Put the flame on the fitting.
Okay. Now take the flame away. Now do it. Try it. Okay, there you go.
I'm dripping all over your deck.
That's right. Yeah, that's fine. Let's just leave it to. And we do not.
So much fun.
We do not immediately put wet stuff on it, and we do not, under any circumstances, quench it in cold water because that'll break the. Well, it could very easily break the seal because it cools too fast. So, and the other thing is this is really hot. I mean, even down here it's really hot. So it, because it goes. So.
When you put the flame on it, is it better to move it back and forth
Yes.
with it, or just hold it still?
No, move it back and forth. You did really pretty good, except for aiming the wrong way. You want to be more on the fitting, and then
That's where it's sucking into.
yeah, when you take that flame away, it just wants to start sucking, and that's what happens.
Thank you.
Sure, that's actually pretty good. Let's look at the work here, see how it looks. Yeah, that's all right. I mean, if it's absolutely perfect, that wouldn't be visible. See how it's sort of a line there?
Yeah.
It's still a good seal, but it would be almost like a chamfer, like a curve.
Or like yours is thicker. You got yours.
Yeah, I got mine thicker. Mine's not.
It's probably more solid.
Yeah, so you can see it's a little more solid in there, but yours
So
is
mine
not.
just dripped off.
That doesn't matter. It's you just put too much on it, and it comes off. It's not.
No. Oh right. But
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make it thicker?
You just put actually less heat in the beginning, and then more carefully, instead of poking at it and jabbing at it, just carefully walking it around, and it'll. And I don't mind a bubble on there at the bottom. A lot of professionals,
solid,
a lot of professionals like to make it so clean that it's perfect. And if you're an artist and you have copper, watering sculpture or something like that, you want it to look good. So but you'll pick that up. It doesn't take that long to pick it up. So, next, anybody else?
Take a look at it.
Sure.
Let's see.
Oh, I don't want to hand it to you.
You were talking about so it's more square.
Oh, yeah,
than it's
okay.
round.
See how that is more of a chamfer? It's a nice. It's like a.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that dark. Line as much.
Yeah.
And this one. That's okay there, but then as you get into that part, and then over here, it's a little sloppy. But it's not going to leak. I mean, it's in good shape. If anybody else wants to try it, I'll cut a piece off. And you want to do it? Okay. Well, the first thing you're going to have to do is cut your own piece. So, here you go. I'll hold this other end for you. It might make it a little easier. Okay. So you just turn. You're doing good. Just turn, and you don't turn too much. You did good. I mean, the biggest mistake most people do is they try to really crank in, then it forces it to walk a different path, which you don't want it to do.
Couple's not doing enough, but
Well, it just takes longer if you don't do it enough. And you'll tell that it's easier as it goes if you don't do it enough.
So copper is fairly soft, and that blade must be really hard, huh?
Oh yeah, the blade's like a sharpened stainless steel. It's very, very hard. Copper's really pretty soft. So now you take your tool on there, and you go from the inside of that. It doesn't have to be absolutely. It just has to be burless. That's all. No burrs. And then you take the flat part and you file the. So that's all nice and clean, and that's really important. That has to be shiny clean. And this might work better for some people. That kind of thing. I'm just pointing it out. You could take the thing and do that, or you could fold it and do that, but you know, it has to be clean. And then we do the inside of the fitting, which I didn't get you. Let me get you a fitting. That's perfect. And then take the other tool and do the inside of one of these things. And with your sandals on, I'm just warning you. I would just sort of, yeah. Because it's one of the most common things is dripping when you're not used to it. Yeah. That's fine. Okay. Now fit it on there and make sure it fits. Make sure it goes on. Yeah, that's fine. I can just see it went right on there. So now paint your flux on it.
So the 95, what does that mean? Is that the amount of copper that's in it? Or?
I believe so on that. It's a 5% copper blend with whatever else is in there, which is actually some kind of acidy stuff, but I'm not really sure what it is. And some of them have like their little secret formulas and whatever, so I don't all know what they do. But they all have very specific properties.
Mm-hmm. The solar heater up there, there's copper pipe going to it and from it?
The whole loop, solar to the tank and back up to the solar, and is all copper. And then...
Is it inside the tank as well?
Yes, there's a copper heat exchanger inside there with a rifled core, so the water really spins inside of it, inside the pipe.
Like that?
Yeah, it has to be. That's why. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
At Lowe's and Home Depot?
No. I had to get that from. I'm actually a dealer now because I had to go through the school, the engineering school, to get the stuff. You know, so.
So then I just put this on, right?
Did you flux both sides? Both of them? You put the flux in here and there?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. And just push it on as hard as you can. There you go. It's nice and seated. And now put your gloves on.
Is the acid, can it bother your fingers at all?
Yes, it will if you don't wash it off. Especially, I have sort of sensitive skin. I definitely feel it. Yeah. So I would wash it, wear gloves or wash it, you know, afterwards. Don't let it sit on there forever.
And this doesn't matter if it's bulbed.
It's fine.
Like that, right?
I have to ask you to do that because I don't know if your glasses are. I have special ones that will sort of handle that, but I don't like the sides not being protected. If you're right-handed,
I'm right-handed. You're
probably better to handle the torch with your left hand. Rarely it might pop. That's why I'm saying you have to have glasses, but you know. Okay, so again, that part, that is where you're going to aim the. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Yeah, perfect.
Or when.
Yeah, you're put a little more.
Too slow?
No, you're fine. But you're going off the.
Oh,
keep it on the keep it on the item that you're doing.
Now, is that good?
Do a little more.
Changing color.
Okay, try it now. Take it away. No, more heat. Try it. Yep.
I think I should have put my glasses on.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, you got it. It flowed.
One spot over here.
Is there a spot over there?
Yeah. So you really need to use the tip. Push that little yellow button, or I'll do it.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Did I get enough? Do you think?
We see.
The hole
Yeah,
on the
well.
other side.
Oh, I did?
Usually they, surprisingly enough, they usually flows even though you haven't touched it, but maybe you did leave the hole. Let me see. Actually, it looks like a dark. It looks like it is a dark. It looked like a hole, but it's not.
So I guess you could always do it a second time.
Oh yeah. Well, I would just redo it. It's okay. If I was using it for plumbing, I would probably redo it. But see, about half of it's fine. The other half is sealed, but I would want a little more in there.
Yeah,
but it was only because you didn't have your glasses on mainly.
Yeah. I couldn't see where I was going. Now, if I was going to fix this, I would
just do it.
heat it up
it wouldn't have to.
again.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to take it apart or anything. Just heat it up again and kiss it. Yeah, I mean I can do it. Let's just do it real quick. I can show you how. So, you know, and something may happen that it may want to burp out the what you've already done, but try to be careful. If that's the case, we'll just see now it's starting to melt there. So I'm just gonna kiss it in there, fill it in a little more. That should have done it, maybe. Not really, but. It's always a little harder to get it done the second time. What either you or she was doing earlier was using the side of it, which is a real common habit, yeah.
You mean it was on the pipe more than the...
You're doing this, you're doing great here, and you're doing point, and then when you get up to here, instead of doing that, you're doing that.
Ah,
And that's not going to melt it. You have to get the tip of it, because that's where it's happening. So once you got that solved, you've solved 90% of your problems. And that's just practice. Yeah. So that actually wasn't bad. I mean, it would not have leaked, by the way.
Yeah.
It would be okay. You wouldn't have passed the plumber's test, but you would have been all right. Okay, so we have covered iron pipe, galvanized iron pipe, copper, PVC, CPVC, PEX, and SharkBite products, and we have done some silver soldering, and we've done some PEX clamping, and we've discussed options of joining various types of pipe and why and when we'd want to do that. Do some hands-on work in soldering and PEX clamping. So that's really about it. I mean, we've covered everything, and it's really a nice little short hour-and-a-half workshop that just to hone your plumbing skills and maybe try to develop some solar fabrication skills if you want to do some solar work. We have, practiced the copper end of that because the solar loops are copper, so we need to know how to do the soldering on the copper. So that's it. Okay, yay!